So, good morning. We have Roger Ver, known for his strong leadership, quick wit, and early adoption in the crypto space. He's an early investor in Ripple and Kraken, as well as the creator of Bitcoin Cash. He currently resides in Japan, where he has maintained his ambassador role and continues to expose people to crypto and Bitcoin Cash. So, thank you, Roger, for being here this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Joel. I'd love to correct a couple of small things in that intro, if you don't mind, though. So, long ago, somehow I wound up with the nickname Bitcoin Jesus, but I wasn't the creator of Bitcoin.
Right.
Today, I'm a big advocate of Bitcoin Cash, but I wasn't the creator of Bitcoin Cash either. In fact, I got involved in Bitcoin Cash long after it had already been created. So a lot of people love to say that I'm the creator of Bitcoin Cash, but that's not any more true than if they were to say I was the creator of Bitcoin. I'm not the creator of either one of those things.
All right, perfect. Well, in my eyes, you're kind of like just the face for Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, so I think you're amazing. Okay, so what was your entrepreneurial journey like, and what was the transition from selling computer parts to going full crypto? Like, how did you get into this space, and what was that journey like for you?
So I think the journey actually started in large part thanks to, let's see, would have been a fifth grade teacher. And the fifth grade teacher, everybody called their teachers by their first name in this particular school, and her name was Lindy. And they had Kids in Business Day, where all the kids would use the class fiat money to buy and sell things. So everybody would, bake cookies at home, or boys would bring GI Joes or things they wanted to trade, and all the kids would buy and sell with each other in class. There, they do that, I don't know, once every 2 months or something like that. And it was a really fun, fantastic learning experience about what it's like to engage in commerce. Right. And then how did I wind up in crypto? Well, I started selling a bunch of computer parts on the internet, specifically computer memory. And a lot of people won't realize this, but one of the most targeted items for people with stolen credit cards to buy is computer memory, because computer memory is really easy for them to flip back into cash. And so every single day on my website, memorydealers.com, we had people from around the world with stolen credit cards trying to cheat us and buy memory with their stolen credit cards. So we got really good at recognizing when an order is fraudulent, when it's not, but we also got to feel firsthand what a pain in the butt online payments were. And before there was PayPal, people were having to buy postal money orders, and they would physically mail us postal money orders in the mail. And then people would even go through big efforts to make fake cashier's checks, and they would try and send us fake cashier's checks. And so I knew firsthand from my long experience of selling things online what the difficulty online payments were. And then when Bitcoin came along, it solved all of those online payment problems. Plus, it was this amazing science fiction money that I had read about in science fiction books as a kid. And I had been waiting for it to come into existence ever since. And then finally, with the invention of Bitcoin, it finally arrived. So I jumped in with both feet, promoting Bitcoin adoption and Bitcoin use in commerce. And been doing it ever since for 8.5 years now, full time.
Wow, that's amazing. And that is true, like in business, I mean, that payment option needs to be secure, and I think Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash are great options for that. Crypto is amazing. So when was the moment you discovered crypto and realized crypto was the future and you would play a role in this space? So you kind of covered when you discovered it, but how did you know that you wanted to play a role in this space? You wanted to start investing in it and becoming what people call you, like the Bitcoin Jesus, the first person to get in there.
Yeah, I think I knew and learned about it in like the late 1990s by reading these science fiction books in which futuristic, societies doing business on the internet had, I think they were calling it cyber cash in lots of these books. Mm-hmm. And they had this internet cash that couldn't be controlled or seized or blocked or manipulated. And it enabled all sorts of really amazing things and unleashed all sorts of commerce that wasn't possible before, and helped make the world a better, more exciting, interesting, fantastic place for everybody. And it was kind of sad because in, like 1999 or 2000, for example, one of the books was Cryptonomicron by Neil Stephenson. And it was so exciting, yet the cyber cash aspect of the book didn't exist yet. We had the internet and we had computers and we had other stuff, but there was no, online cyber cash. And finally, a decade later, when I heard about Bitcoin for the first time, it was like, yes, this science fiction cyber cash that I had been reading about as a kid is finally here. So there wasn't any doubt in my mind that I wanted to start promoting it and helping its adoption full time. And I've been doing that ever since. And a lot of people think that I'm partial to Bitcoin Cash. I'm not. I'm partial to anything that works. If it works and it's useful to people, people are going to use it. And that's why I promoted the BTC version of Bitcoin for the first 6 or 7 years of my involvement, and that's why I'm promoting the Bitcoin Cash version of Bitcoin today, because it works. It offers fast, cheap, reliable, and private payments for people. And sadly, the BTC chain doesn't do that as well as Bitcoin Cash does today. But I'm a fan of anything that works. So I'm not I'm a competition maximalist, as my friend Jeffrey Tucker just said, and I agree with him on that point.
Awesome. Solutions guy. All right. So I find your entrepreneurial journey encourage honorable alongside the leadership you display while standing for Bitcoin Cash and crypto, like you said, that works. You have intellectually communicated some strong points as to why Bitcoin Cash has great benefits versus other coins, faster transactions, lower prices, and for transaction fees. On your journey to mass adoption in the space of Bitcoin Cash, you're constantly increasing awareness wherever you go. So can you share with us how you're making strategic moves in Japan to ensure you're seeing more daily users and exposure to Bitcoin Cash and cryptocurrency, like hosting monthly meetups? Could you also speak on your new partnership with the mining company you're working with?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of mining companies we're working with all over the world. The most recent partner we announced was one had a press release with them in Tokyo, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. But as we're recording this, I'm now on the very other side of the world. I'm in St. Kitts in the Caribbean, and I split my time across a bunch of countries all over the world, trying to spread adoption anywhere I can. And one of my favorite new projects recently that we just launched is local.bitcoin.com, which allows anyone to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash in any country for any payment method with no KYC required from bitcoin.com, because bitcoin.com never touches the money at all. And we're using this new fancy thing where there's not really a good word in the English language, so it's a bit of a mouthful, but we're calling it a non-custodial blind escrow. And you think, what the heck is that? Basically, it works just like a normal escrow, except for the escrow agent is blind to the fact that they've been nominated to be the escrow agent, and they never touch or have custody of the funds. But both of the parties to the actual transaction can't run away with the funds. And the escrow agent has the ability to adjudicate disputes, but they don't have the ability to run away with the money. So it's much, much better than any traditional escrow. And it's a really amazing platform. We just launched on June 4th in memorial of the Tiananmen Square massacre in China, because we want to help prevent more things like that happening around the world. And if we can bring more economic freedom and give people more control over their own money, it makes it harder for governments to do those sorts of things. So we launched June 4th. We're recording this on June 26th. Yes. So in less than a month, we have over 25,000 registered users on the account, and millions of dollars worth of trades in Bitcoin Cash have been initiated already on the platform.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really good. I've never heard of a non-custodial escrow, so that's going to be interesting. Got to research that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, take a look, local.bitcoin.com.
Definitely. All right. So Ross Ulbricht, one of the guys that got me really interested into this space, and I know that you have reached out to him and you play a huge role in his support. So he played a huge role into Bitcoin and the growth of users to me, which were heavily adopted during that Silk Road era. Can you talk about how some of the support you've organized to help with Ross's appeal and to encourage his spirits? I really admire and respect how you have reached out to him and uplifted him during this time, and I'm sure he appreciates you. So anything about that is amazing to hear about, like how you got in touch with him, how you're helping him, and what you're doing for Ross.
Yes, I've been a libertarian for a long, long time, from having studied economics as a young man. And it's so clear people own their own bodies. And if you own your own body, you have the right to put whatever you want in your own body. And I think the world would be a much more prosperous, better, happier, peaceful place if anybody was allowed to do anything that's peaceful, and buying and selling and using things that make people feel happy, white powders or plants or whatever it is. That's great. People use drugs because they like them. People drink alcohol because they like them. People use these things because they think that it improves the quality of their life. And the quality of someone's life is subjective to themselves. So they get to decide for themselves. So when I heard about Bitcoin for the first time because of the Silk Road, it was people on the radio on Free Talk Live talking about the Silk Road. And the light bulb went off in my head, and it wasn't, wow, I can buy drugs on the internet. It was, wow, what kind of money are they using to do this? And I was never personally interested in, using or buying or selling drugs myself. But the money that they were using to do this caught my attention. So I think it's a real shame what's happened to Ross Ulbricht. He's one of the cleverest entrepreneurs in all of history. The Silk Road was one of the most successful startups ever in the entire history of humankind. It's absolutely incredible what he managed to do with that. And he should be held up as a hero, an entrepreneurial hero, spreading the vision of free markets and free minds and free people all over the world. And, the thanks that he's gotten for that is, he's been condemned to die in prison. So I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that's just. I think that's an absolute travesty. And to try and help with that, I've been trying to spread the word that, hey, this guy needs to be let out of jail. But it's not just Ross Ulbricht. It's every single person that's in prison for a victimless crime. And there's probably hundreds of thousands of them, maybe millions across the world, of people that are in jail for victimless crimes. Every single one of them need to be let out right now today, and they should be apologized to at the very least. And so I donated several $100,000 of my own money to Ross's legal defense and appeal and that sort of thing. It didn't work one bit. I guess I shouldn't have been too terribly optimistic when the judge and the prosecutors get their paycheck from the exact same source and work for the exact same entity with money that's extracted from people with threats of violence. So none of that worked. We'll see what the next step is there. But I've been trying to do, social outreach and just public awareness, because I guess we have to change hearts and minds as well. When people realize that the drug war is a horrible, horrible, immoral war on everybody, hopefully we can help bring it to an end, and we can defund the people that are there.
Totally agree with you in that aspect. And I wish Ross the best of luck. I just feel he's a genius, like you said, has such a young intellectual mind. And I just hate to see that he doesn't have a prosperous future for himself right now. But we're going to keep him in prayer. So thank you for everything you're doing. And I find it really honorable that a lot of people haven't stepped up to even support him. So I think that's amazing that you have, especially with your platform.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So as I'm looking at the bull market right now, Bitcoin Cash is performing well in this market. The highs are always rewarding. What is the next target price that you see for Bitcoin Cash in the near future, or any target prices? Do you feel like during the bull market, it's going to just go up and then the use of the cryptos are going to start increasing, or are we still kind of in that phase where it's just all price?
Yeah, I think it's the reverse of that. I think that the long-term price is a side effect of the adoption in commerce. And so I don't really have a price target. I have an adoption target. I want to get as many people using cryptocurrencies to buy and sell things and engage in commerce around the world as I possibly can. And of course, with Bitcoin.com, we're mainly focused on Bitcoin Cash, but I'm a fan of anything that works. And so if we can drive mass adoption where people are using Bitcoin Cash to buy their daily coffee and everything else, the price is going to skyrocket because of it. But the price skyrocketing is a side effect of the adoption in commerce. And so we need to drive as much adoption in commerce as we possibly can.
Right. Awesome. And do you have your, let's see. So as an early investor in Ripple, what are your thoughts on Ripple, where it'll play its role in the mainstream?
Yeah, so I don't really know, to be honest. I haven't followed Ripple very closely. I put up the seed money to start Ripple, so I was literally the second person ever involved in Ripple. But in the last at least half a decade, I haven't been following it very closely.
Mm-hmm.
Although I own shares in the company, I own some of the XRP currency. But I've been so busy with the peer-to-peer cash vision of Bitcoin Cash that I haven't been able to follow Ripple closely.
All right. And you're into reading, and you always have a good book. I listen to your stuff. I'm like, okay, jot that down. Yeah, he's good. So do you have any suggestions on a good read for learners in the space to expand their knowledge and be more intellectual and broad-minded? Do you have any good books that you're into right now?
Yeah, I guess I'll give two, and they're both, one's old, the other's really, really, really old, but they're both fantastic. So if you just kind of want to understand what the future of a world with anonymous peer-to-peer cash looks like, there's a great book by David Freedman, the son of Milton Friedman. It's called Future Imperfect. And I think he wrote that in like 1999 or 2000. I read it when it came out. And he described, he's a law professor at Santa Clara University. He describes how someone without a licensed, law certificate from the government to practice law, if someone who hasn't passed the bar, how they could potentially practice law on the internet using digital signatures to prove their identity, but not have the government's permission to be practicing law. And it was really, really interesting. And that applies to all sorts of other things. And he describes public key cryptography and how the world is going to change with digital cash. And so that book is called Future Imperfect. By David D. Freedman, great book. Another one that's much, much, much older, and what reminded me of it is I just had another Bitcoin Cash visitor friend here in St. Kitts with me, and he brought me a present when he came 2 days ago. And the present is a book. He brought me a physical book, and that's rare enough already.
Right.
But the physical book that he brought me was a book that was physically printed 170 years ago. So it was printed in 1850, right? So that's a long, long, long time ago. And I'm kind of scared to physically touch the book because it looks like it might crumble into pieces if I handle it too much. But it's a really, really interesting gift from a man named Lysander Spooner. And they almost never, ever mention this guy in school. But he's probably the most interesting, and he's certainly one of the most interesting people in all of American history. So in 1850, a time when 99% of the population thought that slavery was just fine, and if slaves run away, you got to catch them and bring them back. He wrote a book called "In Defense of Runaway Slaves," and he was calling it man stealing, I think is what he was calling it back then. And so he was writing about that. And the book that I read of his when I was a young man was another one called No Treason, The Constitution of No Authority. And this guy had a law degree back then. And he's talking about how the United States Constitution it has no authority whatsoever. It was signed by like maybe a dozen people, but by any sort of legal standard whatsoever, it's not binding on people's great-great-grandchildren, a couple hundred years later. And so I really, really enjoyed Lysander's book, No Treason, The Constitution of No Authority, that he wrote, well over 100 years ago.
Right.
And if you want to get the philosophy of why cryptocurrencies are so exciting, I really would recommend that book. And it really changed the way I look at the world. And this guy was a guy that was way, way, way ahead of his time. And if you read his essays and his books today, it still applies to humankind today, because human nature doesn't change over time. Like the technology and the stuff we have changes, but the human nature in our hearts and minds, that stays the same over time.
Right. That's what I like about philosophy. And I really appreciate those. I'm definitely going to check those books out. And I appreciate your time. I know all of the audience does as well. If there's anything else you'd like to add or spread the word about, feel free before we end our conversation.
Yeah, if you like people having more control over their own lives and there being more economic freedom in the world, set up your friends, set up your neighbors, set up your family with Bitcoin Cash or your favorite cryptocurrency of your choice wallet. Give them a little bit, show them how it works, and show them how it's useful in their own lives. One of my favorite examples in the US is a website called purse.io, where you can save 20% off every purchase from Amazon by using Bitcoin Cash.
Right.
20% off Amazon. That's amazing. And of course, check out local.bitcoin.com as well for easy people that you can buy and sell Bitcoin Cash within your country or your area.
Definitely. I'm getting my family, well, I've gotten them involved. I actually took my grandma to Eat Denver, and she really was like, wow, this is amazing. So I definitely want to get more people on board. I do have a quick question, maybe if you have time. There's
Sure.
been some issues with some wallets where I've helped set up for some people. I don't know if you may know, but they're not allowing them to even load money to them. Do you think that's going to be an issue down the line, or like they're controlling who's getting in, or certain wallets doing that only? Do you have any knowledge of this going on?
Yeah, so I think the real big problem there is even calling those things wallets.
Hmm.
Those aren't wallets. So in my pocket here, I have a physical wallet, and inside the wallet there's some pieces of paper that's money.
Yeah.
On my phone, I have some apps. The Bitcoin.com app is an actual wallet where the money is actually on my phone itself.
Hmm.
Things like Coinbase, it's a great company. It's done a great job getting people into the crypto space, but Coinbase isn't a wallet, it's a bank account. So just like your Bank of America or Bank of whatever account,
Yeah.
they can freeze your account and block your payments at any time. So I really recommend very strongly that people use actual cryptocurrency wallets, like the Bitcoin.com wallet, like the blockchain.com wallet, like the BRD wallet. There's lots and lots of wallets out there, but make sure you understand the difference between a wallet and a bank account. And anytime you hear about somebody's cryptocurrency account being frozen, realize that it's not a wallet, it's just an account like their bank account. So I implore people very strongly, use actual wallets, not accounts, because you kind of miss the whole point of crypto if you're letting somebody else hold it for you.
Right. So are you kind of pro cold wallet storage?
No, I'm very pro hot wallet storage. I have Bitcoin Cash on my phone, and I use it all the time, every day to buy and sell all sorts of things and pay people all over the place all the time. It's really a fantastic tool. So I I own a couple of hardware wallets. I almost never use them. I really like using cryptocurrency as currency. If you just want to hold and wait until other people start using it in commerce, well, you're not helping drive adoption. You're just waiting for other people to do the work for you.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Roger. I appreciate you being here and sharing this amazing knowledge and those great books. We're definitely going to check them out. I'll write them in the bottom of the bio. And thank you. If you could say bye to everyone, and then I'll
And
say,
if you like this content too, make sure you share Jouell's video on your own social media, put it on Facebook and Twitter and memo.cash and all the other, cryptocurrency based social media websites. And, make sure you subscribe to her channel and follow her on her other social media. So thank you all. And thank you, Jouell, for putting out this great content. So help share the word.
thank you, Roger. Okay, I'm going to press stop.